What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here at GSD Studios. First off, I want to thank you for watching the show. I truly appreciate your support. I know it's annoying, but please listen to the entire intro before the podcast begins, as I really need your help. So before we jump in, just a few quick favors, you guys. Number one, please share the show with anyone you feel that will benefit. This truly helps grow the show and has a massive impact on many lives. So please go out there, share the show. Sharing is caring, right? Number two, if you have not already, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please leave a 5-star review on iTunes and in Stitcher, again, if you have not done so already. Number three, make sure that you join the private GSD Mode Facebook Mastermind group. If you go to www.gsdmode.com, you'll see a button right there on the home page that you can click and request to be added to that group right away. And lastly, I want to give our sponsors a quick shout out that make this show entirely possible. Our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my personal mentorship training program where I give you everything that I do inside my business. You get my entire playbook, you guys. We have 12 live 3+ hour long sessions. Each session we go so in depth on exactly what I do inside my real estate team and how I operate my business. Plus there's a lot of different bonus sessions. You get access to everything I do inside my business on my tracking forms, presentations, checklists, lead generation tactics, lead follow-up tactics, team contracts, and much more. There's absolutely nothing that I withhold from you that you don't get access to. Plus you get daily access to me inside the group. So this is hands down the most effective and affordable real estate training program on the planet. Check us out, www.90daymastery.com, or click the link below to learn more about that. If you do join, make sure to plug in promo code Live Mastery. That's all caps, all one word, all together, which will save you $500. Make the whole entire program like $997, or 3 payments of $333. Our next sponsor number 2, is perfectstormnow.com. This is an insanely effective lead generation website for realtors, and now offers not just the front end website, but a website and CRM combo with all my personal written follow-up drips and scripts. And some of these, you guys, go out 1,000+ days. We made it where it's 100% dummy proof. And this system, you guys, competes with $1,000+ month systems that exist in the industry, and it's only $199 per month. So make sure to check us out, www.perfectstormnow.com, where you can check out in-depth demos, client testimonials, more info, all that fun stuff. Our third sponsor is EMF. I'm really excited about this one. This is Optimized Life Nutrition's newest supplement, newest nootropic. It's by far the most powerful nootropic on the planet. EMF stands for Energy, Memory, Focus. If you're like me and you want to have insane energy, improved memory, extreme, intense, focused, this is the best product, you guys, that money can buy. I take it every single day, and the results are insane. Improved energy, improved focus, improved mood, awareness, and we've even had many clients tell us improved sex, dude. So it's just this crazy, insane, overall life-enhancing product. So check that out at www.optimizedlifenutrition.com. Lastly, if you want to be like me and the crew here at GSD Studios, kicking ass every single day, highly recommend that you rock your GSD gear here on the website, www.gsdmode.com. Snag your shirts. We have women's shirts, men's shirts. I got some hats, and we got a lot more apparel on the way. So that's all I got for you guys. Hope you enjoy the show, and we will talk to you soon. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode interview, where every single week we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses out there dominating their space. These are people choosing to not live a life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing lives for themselves and for their families. So today, you guys, special guest on the show. So this is one of the top luxury agents on the planet. He sold thousands of homes. He's been a top luxury realtor for over 25 years. He actually set the record in LA by selling the Playboy Mansion for over $100 million. I know he just rebeat that record, another record sale this past year. So stoked and honored to have Gary Gold on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
It was also the biggest sale in 2016 in the United States.
Yeah.
There was a couple in China that were higher, and I don't do much business in China. I do business with Chinese clients here, but not selling many properties in China yet.
Yeah. So what was the exact dollar amount of the property? So it's the number one in the country.
It was the Playboy Mansion. It was $105 million.
105 million. Well, we were talking off air, right? So I did my team and I collectively 480 units in Phoenix, Arizona in 2016, and we did like 103 million, right? So like one a year equates to 480 of mine. It's just hard to fathom, right?
Well, that particular deal probably caused more brain damage than your deal. This was so complicated. It was the most complicated deal I ever did. Because Hef got to stay.
Yeah, I mean, how long did it? How long did it even? I mean, was it a quick sale? I mean, did you have it on the market for years, or was it just one of those things where you just list it in high demand?
It was our buyer came quickly, but it took a long time to put the deal together. As I said, it was super complicated. There were other people that were interested as well, and it was interesting it was being played out in the press. It was being played. It was so interesting, and everyone who involved was really smart, and there was a lot of people involved in it, and it just wiped me out. But I'm thrilled that I did it. It was one of the highlights of my career.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, no, I love that, man. That's amazing. So, when you talk about it wiping you out, like what was some of the, and I know probably with confidentiality stuff you can probably share so much, but like with what you can share, like what were some of those? Because again, I mean, our listeners are real estate agents, but most can't even fathom what that would look like.
I'll tell you, anyone can relate to it, I believe. I knew I could get this deal done, but there were a lot of players involved, and I have a gear called missile lock, and I only go into missile lock when necessary, but literally everything fades away. And I didn't go to yoga for 2 months because when I go to yoga, I'm like 2.5 hours away from a phone, and I didn't want to be away from a phone that long. I canceled 2 trips. I didn't go to yoga. I was just so focused on getting this deal done. Kind of like, when you see Jordan in the last, 5 seconds of a game where they're just absolutely just dead on focused and determined to make something happen. And I was in that mode, not for 5 seconds, but for like 3 months. And it was exhausting. It really was. At the end, it just wiped me out, but it was worth it. I knew that if I made that deal, setting the record in Los Angeles and setting the record in the U.S. for that year, that would be a big feather in my cap, and that would have a lot of benefits for years to come.
Yeah, love it. So I know with that deal, but I mean that's a big deal. What's your average sales price? For you yourself in
it's less than $100 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? Last year I did a $10 million deal. I did a $1 million deal. So, I mean, I'm all over the board. I've got to like the house that I'm selling. I sold one for $1.5 million. I sold one for $7 million. Sold one for $20 million. So I am literally all over the board. I don't sell a lot of houses. My breakdown, we talked about Tom Ferry, and he's my coach. I need to talk to 250 people about real estate in 1 year. I mean, not any conversation. Like this person, they're interested in buying or selling to some degree. Of those 250 people, I'm going to engage and get involved with about 50 of them. Okay? So I talk to 250 in a year. I engage with 50 of them. And of those 50 people where I go out and I try to make something happen with them, there's going to be 15 or 20 I'll actually do something with. And sometimes it's, I usually like to try to keep that north of 5 million, but sometimes it's a $1.5 million deal. I did one of my favorite deals last year was $1.5 million. A friend called me up. They had this bitchin' little house in Venice. I told them what to do. They did exactly what I told them what to do. We put it on the market, had an open house on Sunday, and a friend of mine held it open, and someone walked in and bought it from her.
Yeah.
No problem. I got no problem with that.
Yeah. So with you've sold thousands of homes. You've been doing this. You obviously are at a point in your life where you can kind of be picky and choosy. It's not so much maybe the price point, but it's the person. I mean, how do you internally gauge who you're going to take on, who you're not going to take on?
It's more the situation. If someone's just completely out to lunch on their price or are unrealistic about what they buy, and they don't have that motivation, I'll pass. Now, sometimes I'll come and meet with somebody, and they'll be throwing some high numbers out, like what they want to sell it for, but I know the motivation's there, so I cut them a little slack. I don't need to sell that many houses, so one thing I do try to avoid is, not even try to avoid, I will avoid at all costs, is that client that just wipes you out. The energy sucking vampires, as Tom talks about. I think who you pass on is probably more important on who you take on in a given year. That one client that's unrealistic and difficult to deal with, some of them are like so crazy that they literally just suck all your time out and your energy, and it takes the fun out of it. So I really avoid that. It doesn't happen that often, but it does happen, and sometimes you get sucked in. It could be like a big deal, or it seemed like it's worth it, you've gone that far, and that's when you've got to have the sense to cut them off and be courteous. There's no reason to not do that, but I will tell you, when you tell somebody who wants to sell a $10 million home that we need to move on and do it with the utmost respect, it's very liberating, and it feels great. Because if you're sitting there fucking around with someone who's just not realistic, and no matter what the numbers are, you're not doing other things. I have 24 hours in a day, and I sleep, and I've got kids, and I work out, and I like to have some fun, and I got traffic. So it's like there's only so much time you have. So one of these people that are really out there, I pass on.
Yep. So do you have like a vetting process when you're doing your listing consultation or buyer consultation where you've been able to kind of dial in like what those characteristics are to say yes and no, so you don't take it so far as listing the property or going out there and showing a bunch of properties before you realize that they are this vampire, right?
Yeah. But not just even a vampire. Like when I go on a listing appointment, if just I sense that these people aren't ready yet, they're not really sellers, I won't push it, and I'll let them list with somebody else. I always when someone's really overpriced, I go, I'm going to let some other agent babysit them during this denial process they have. And as soon as they, come to reason, I'll come see them in a year. I have a bunch of properties that maybe if I pushed harder, I could have gotten listed, and I've decided to let it be listed with someone else. And, and some of those will expire, and I'll have another shot at them, and they'll be in a more realistic place.
Yep, love it. So let's rewind the clocks, right? So I'm always interested in our guests' journey that led them into entrepreneurship in the first place. So I know you've been in the real estate game and the real estate business for a lot of years, but if we rewind the clocks, whether it's junior high, high school, college, what led you down this path, this journey in the first place?
Yeah, when I started real estate, and the only reason I say 25 years is because when I say how long I've been in it, it makes me sound like I'm legally dead. I've actually been in it for 40 years.
Wow.
I'm 57. I started when I was 17. But it's not like I said, God, I want to be a real estate agent. I wanted to be a comedian or a lyricist or something like that. I'm a very creative person. I did not want to be in real estate. And real estate 40 years ago was not a cool business. It was a bunch of old ladies, and it was not sophisticated, and it was not a cool business. But my brother was in it, and he was like the one young guy, and he was making a lot of money. And I had tried to paint my car by myself, and not a good idea. There's process. I literally tried. I destroyed my car. Me and my buddy tried to paint our car ourselves. I destroyed it, and I had no car, and I was in high school, and my brother said, come work for me, I'll buy you a car. So I wanted to work for him, and I started marketing. I just started doing his marketing because he said, I want to do these postcards, and I want to do some things, and I was this creative guy, and we started doing marketing that is now commonplace, but we literally started it. We were doing the craziest things 40 years ago, and we were huge. My brother did a ton of business. So that's how I started. But I really never wanted to be in the business. It wasn't my first choice. I now like it a lot, but it's been a love-hate thing from the beginning.
Yeah. At what point did you fall in love with it? Like, do you remember that turning point where like, oh man, like this is where I want to be now? It's time to level up and take it to go
Yes.
chips all in.
Okay, so I went. I mean, it's been so. I've been doing it so many times. I've had so many stages. I remember when I turned 30, I said, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it big. I'm going to go big or get out of this. And I moved from the San Fernando Valley to Beverly Hills. So I was pretty excited about that. And I got successful there. And that was one of the times where it seemed pretty cool. But still, I thought I wanted to do something else. I didn't think being an agent was the greatest thing in the world. And during that time, like when I was in my 30s here, I was doing stand-up on the side. I was writing screenplays. And that completely trashed my real estate business because that's where like all my mojo went, was into those things. Even though I was still selling and successful, I wasn't nearly as successful as I could be because I was really split in my interest, and there was just not a lot of there wasn't a lot of synergy between like doing stand-up and being a real estate agent. And I remember asking myself in 2003, what can I do in real estate creatively that'll turn me on as much as writing screenplays or doing stand-up? And I got that from Tony Robbins. He said the quality of the questions you ask yourself, largely determine the quality of your life. And that question, all of a sudden, literally the next week, I met a developer who had this piece of property, and he had an idea for building these inexpensive condos in Pasadena. And I said, nope, this is what you should do. And I came up with this whole idea of building like the equivalent of a luxury high-rise in Pasadena, like we have, like you have in New York, like you have in Los Angeles on Wilshire Boulevard. But in Pasadena, they didn't have that. So I said, let's just step it up. And I literally designed the concept for this building. And at that time, the internet started being relevant in real estate. Before that, it wasn't that relevant. And I remember having this huge budget for this development. We started playing around. I mean, it wasn't my budget. I literally had hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I started advertising on places like Zillow, that when no one really was, especially in mine, and started to see things happening. And the whole thing of online marketing and working with developers, being creative, that's what really changed my whole gig about real estate. And I all of a sudden started to love it. And it was a cool business. Before that, when I started this business, it just was a very basic business. Yeah. And now you've got to do a lot of things to be successful in real estate. There's a lot of different disciplines.
Yeah, it sounds like before it was just kind of, you were just going through the motions. Now you figure out how to combine your passion, your love with real estate, and that's when it became magical. So let's rewind again back to the beginning, because we're in this industry where 90% of realtors fail in their first 3 years. Right? It's so difficult to get that momentum in the beginning. And I know you were doing a lot of stuff on the side with a stand-up, but I'm sure that wasn't paying the bills, right? It sounds like you also were very successful in real estate from the beginning. What were some of those things that you did as a new agent where so many, again, 90% are just out? They can't even survive those first few years. What were some of those things that you did to not become a statistic?
I've had several times where I had to start over for a number of reasons. Once I actually quit real estate, and this was before the 2003. It was shortly before that. I quit real estate. I was completely sick of it. And I remember, and this time I had a Rolodex, and I had files. This was before computers. And I threw out my Rolodex, and I threw out all my files. And this was the equivalent of throwing out your computer. And it was kind of like a real symbolic thing where I was going to burn the bridge. I'm going to go in this new industry. I am out. And 6 months later, I found myself crawling back into real estate, and I had nothing left. So I had to start from scratch. So I will tell you that I probably did as well then, kicking off, as ever, because there was a certain power of not having all these supposed assets that you thought you had. I think a lot of people think they have all these opportunities, but they don't. And then there's a lot of people who think they have no opportunities and they have a lot. But I would say, number one, I think coaching is killer. because coaches will help you be strategic. I understand there's 2.3 million licensees in the U.S. About 1 million of them are working to one degree or another. About 100,000 are making a good living. These are rough numbers, but no one needs another real estate agent. Come, have a strategy, have a certain marketplace, a certain type of buyer, a certain type of seller. I think that that's key. And also, I think the name of the game today is managing your leads. That's what it's all about. There is plenty of opportunities to get leads no matter what market you're in. It's what you do once you identify a buyer or seller and how you track that person from there to closing. Because in my market, tell me if it's the same in your market, for every client I think I have or every lead I have, 10 other agents have the same lead.
Oh, yeah. I even have it on my team. One of the agents will have a lead in their database that exists in one of my others, and then my own teammates are fighting over this lead.
Right. So you have to go from being one of 10 to being the one.
Yeah.
And that right there, that's where all the deals are made. There was a time where it was hard to get leads. Leads are easy to get. There's 100 different ways to get them. It's really when you've identified them to the close. And one thing that just agents don't do, even good agents, is they don't even write down all the contact info in an organized place of every lead they have and do some level of tracking of when they've contacted that person. Yeah. That's half the game right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I always say leads aren't the issue. It's our inability to convert those leads to appointments. That's the issue, right? So you got a lead coming in. Just kind of give us some ideas of what you're doing, how often you're following up, whatever that looks like. Like, how are you nurturing that to develop that relationship to move that forward?
Okay. One of the things I've discovered, which is really interesting, and I've never heard anyone else talk about this, not only do certain buyers or sellers have preferences of how they want to communicate, they also have patterns. And, I'll have someone who will initiate and call me or email me and is interested in something. And then I'll call them and try to reach them. And maybe I reach them once and they seem interested, and then I can't reach them for a week or two. But what I've discovered is that guy, maybe I'll email him. And if that doesn't work, maybe I'll text him. And then maybe I'll mix it around. So what I do is I mix around, because people have patterns. I had one client, my best client I've ever had. We initially met, and then I tried to reach him on the phone, couldn't reach him on the phone, and then I was able to get him on a text. And I find that this guy and then once we texted, all he wanted to do was talk on the phone. And then once we had something going, where there was like paperwork and there were facts and there was this, all he wanted to do was email. And I picked up on this pattern, and I was able to communicate. But not only do you need to find that pattern, and when you're trying to reach somebody when you're not getting them, if you call someone every day, you're a stalker. But if you call them, maybe you'll text them, maybe you'll email them. I think it's much more effective because you just don't know when you're going to hit them. But not only do you mix up the patterns of communicating with people, also mix up the message. The key is what you're doing is you're trying to say or do something that will resonate with them, and then and also it's a combination of that and your timing is right. I think the lamest thing in the world, if this is all you got, go for it. But hey, I'm just following up with you. What is that? Yeah. But why don't you? Okay, let's just say a guy wants to sell his house. Because I just want to let you know that a house down the street just came on the market, sold in multiples in 3 days, and it sold for more than we were discussing, or whatever. Or I know you were interested in a home. This property came out that might work for you, or something. Interest rates are down, customer sentiment's up. Something. I like to literally call for relevant reasons. When you do that and you do it enough, and never lay a guilt trip on somebody. I had one guy, Fortino, a good client of mine. I had to communicate with this guy. It became a game, like 200 times. Before we actually got a signed contract. And I had fun with it. I wasn't like giving him a guilt trip. I just said, Fortino, I'm going to hunt you down like a dog until we get this done. Yeah. You can't hide. I did it. It was fun. We were having fun with it. So never lay a guilt trip. Why aren't you calling me back? I haven't heard from you. What are you, dating? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Because at the end of the day, they don't owe us anything, right? I mean, we're the one trying to go after them. They owe us. They don't owe us a call back. They don't owe us a text back. Like they don't owe us anything, right?
Right. Well, you know what? This is the best way to look at it. This is when I discovered it and got real comfortable with it. Let's say I want to buy a BMW, and I go down to the dealership and I look at one, and I'm interested, and the guy gets my card. And for whatever reason, I decide to put it off, or I'm really busy with something else, or I got the flu, or I'm in the middle of selling the Playboy Mansion, or I decide to keep it for another year. I'm not going to call this guy back. I'm busy. I'm overwhelmed. Not interested in him. However, if this guy is smart, if he like maybe puts me on a drip and he calls me if he calls me 6 months from now, and he's called me a couple times, I haven't answered it, and all of a sudden he calls me the day where I'm going, I saw the new 7 and I want it, and he calls me, I'll go, Bill, and I'll get kinesthetic with him. It's like, I'm so glad you called me. I am ready. You must have been reading my mind, and I'm like glad he called me. But I can't tell you how many people who say to me, Gary, I'm so glad you kept on following up with me. I wanted to do something, the time wasn't right, and I really, really appreciate you staying on the ball. People appreciate that. Just don't be obnoxious. Don't be in people's face, and don't lay some guilt trip on them.
Yeah. So I get asked all the time on the podcast from real estate agents that, I mean, because at the end of the day, appointments are set on the phone, right? And you know, you got to incorporate text like you're saying, and email, and now even we're doing a ton of video text and, you know, different things as well. We're mixing it up. But I get a lot of people that,
too. I'm communicating on Facebook.
Yeah, dude, yeah. Private message is huge, right? But you get a lot of people that have this massive call reluctance, this massive fear of the phone. Has that been something that's you've ever dealt with, that fear of rejection, that fear of that? And if so, how did you overcome it? Because it's something I get asked daily of, I know it's important, but I don't know how to pick up this phone.
Yeah, I do. I get it all the time. I still have the fear of the phone sometimes. I had it yesterday, and I said, you know, I actually just there's a couple people in our business that are so aggressive it's crazy, and I just go, what would that person do? But for whatever reason, I did, and it happens to me on occasion. How I overcome that is I call with a reason. I am insecure to call you and just say, hi, I'm just checking in or following up. I like to call with a reason. If I call with a reason and I have something to tell them, all of a sudden it becomes way, way more comfortable. But, you know, when I did stand-up, before getting on stage, almost every time I felt like I was going to have a heart attack. Yeah. But it seemed really cool. So, you know, but that is, for me, call and have like be of value. If you're of no value, maybe you should be a little insecure. Now, there's a guy, Bjorn, in my office who sold 90 houses, and he's just a total animal, and he used to be a professional tennis player. He doesn't want to set things up or call for a purpose or a reason. He just wants to pick up the phone. He says to me, he goes, Mike, that takes too much time. He goes, I just want to get on the phone. So he's just like hitting the phone, and he's got such a great rap, and he's such a great salesman, and he's so positive that's how he does it. But for me, for whatever reason, I like to be of value. I think I have this kind of this like childhood insecurity that people don't think I'm smart, and I want to be intelligent. I want to be prepared. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, well, I find that theme of uber successful people like yourself that they do lead from a place of contribution. You know, they're never asking, begging. They always lead from contribution. And what I love about you being honest and sharing that is, you know, so many new agents, and I did this, you know, when I was new. I'd look at guys like you know, top realtors on the planet, and I'd sit there and think, oh, they're born from like a special genetic code, or they have something, and it's you know, we all struggle with the same stuff. You know, I mean, you're one of the top guys in the world, and you still struggle with it, and it's, you know, it's powerful hearing that, right? Because it's just something that we all have to overcome.
I'm not naturally a great salesman. I'm more of a marketing guy and funny and like that. I've developed into being a good salesman, but there's people who are just raw sales, way better than me. But the one thing I'll tell you, and I have one of my things I love to quote, is sell what you got. There's an advantage to being brand new. There's an advantage to having 30 years in the business. And you can promote any of those things. But we are in a performance-based business. If the person who's brand new with no experience outperforms and out-executes the person like me, when we're going after a listing, that person will win. There's no guarantees here. We're not in the insurance business where we get people renewing up every year and we don't do anything. You have to execute, you have to perform, and you can listen. There's a lot to sell if you're young and you're new. You can say, listen, I came from a different industry, or I come from a different generation. I'm all about technology. I can reach your clients in a way, and I'm bringing something in a way that the dinosaurs that are in the business don't even understand what I'm talking about. So, I mean, if I was a new person, I had my own company, I sold that. I've worked at a big company, I sold that. Whatever I got, you've got something to sell. And, but it really is performance based. You know what? People really don't necessarily want to hire the number one agent in some area. They don't really care. They want to hire the one that's going to sell their home and do them best. And if you can convince them, because you're the number one agent, that's why you should hire them. Or you're young and you're hungry and you are going 1,000% in on them and you know how to do it and you've got the support to get it done. That's going to appeal to a certain amount of buyers or sellers. Another thing, when you're new, buyers are way easier. When you're any age, buyers are way easier to land than sellers.
Yeah.
Sellers are much more difficult.
Yeah. And would you agree, and I say this a lot, where I think new agents should only focus on buyers, right? Because they're easier to obtain, but that's where you get a lot of the experience, right? Because you're going through every inspection, and do you agree with that?
I like to teach. We work here in a very specialized area. When people come here and they're new, the first thing I have them do is I have them say, I want you to put down every person that's in what you would call a sphere of influence. People people that know you. I said, and I think going after listings are key because if you can get them, you should get them. So I have them first. I go put them all in some type of CRM, some type of address book, and then I want you to find all their addresses, find all their email addresses, get all their phone numbers, have all their contact info, and then I want you to go into the public records and the MLS and see if when they bought it, if it's ever been on the market before. And I go, if you have 200 people, there might be 5 people that have their house on the market or currently have on their market. You want to track those people. So, timing plays a huge role. So I think you should do both. I think it's like kind of being a well-rounded baseball player. If you can do both, that's great. The opportunities like right out of the gate are probably buyers because you could be anyone. If you have any kind of rap and you say to the person, I've got something, they tell you what they're looking for at Starbucks or at a party, and you say, I got a house I think is great. They don't care who you are. They'll go, if you can convince them it sounds exciting, they'll run in the car and go see it with you.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how are you incorporating Facebook messaging into your business? Because that's something I don't think I've really had a guest that's really talked about it on the show. A lot of people are talking about phone calls, text, even video text nowadays, emails. How do you incorporate Facebook messaging in the lead process to try and incorporate them into our commercial?
Let me talk about Facebook and LinkedIn. Often, I will, let's say there's someone I want to go after because I sold the house next door, or I have some reason I think I could get there, and maybe their listing expired. I'll just use a hypothetical. Someone's listing expired. I sold the house next door, or I sold his house before he owned it, or something, and I can't find contact info. But I find him on LinkedIn. I'll send him something called an in message. And when you send an in message to someone on LinkedIn, no one's using it. And an in message basically is, I think for like $20 a month, you can send anyone on LinkedIn a message. And when someone does that on LinkedIn, they never are getting messages, so they usually read it. And you send someone an email, it might be one of 300. But for whatever reason, I've gotten really good response that way, and sometimes it's the only way to reach them. On Facebook, I sometimes, if I'll see a comment from somebody, I will, I might comment on them, and sometimes if it's more personal, I'll do it in a message. Do I have this active program? I personally think, like, I got something today from a smoking cessation guy or a termite guy where they sent me a message on Facebook, and I found that a little, like, I don't even know this person from Adam. I found that a little offensive, I blocked them. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be pitched that way. But if it's somebody I know and I want to send a message, but I'm getting a ton of messages that way. I get a lot of broker referrals because of just I'm high exposure, and I often will have them do it through Facebook. So it's more of an inbound than an outbound thing for me. But I now have that messenger come and pop up as a notification on my iPad and my phone and my computer, because sometimes someone has a referral and it's very timely. And if you wait 3 days to check your messages, you could, drop the ball on something.
Yep.
Time out. Joshua Smith here at GSD Studios. I need to take a quick pause to give our sponsors a quick shout out that make all this possible. Our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my personal mentorship training program where I give you everything I do inside my business. You get my entire playbook. We have 12 live 3+ hour long sessions. In addition to a ton of different bonus content, you get daily access to me. There's nothing I withhold from you guys inside this program. You get my entire playbook that's helped me sell thousands and thousands and thousands of homes. You get all my tracking forms, presentations, scripts, checklists, team contracts. There's nothing you don't get access to. This is hands down the most effective and affordable real estate training program on the planet. So make sure you check us out at www.90daymastery.com. You can check out boot camp dates. You can check out testimonials, more in-depth information. If you decide to register, make sure to enter live mastery, all caps, all one word, all together. That'll save you 500 bones. So you can get the whole entire program for only $997 or 3 payments of $333. Our next sponsor is PerfectStormNow.com. PerfectStormNow.com is an insanely effective lead generation website for realtors and now offers a website and CRM combo with all my custom personal follow-up drips inside there, some of which go out 1,000 plus days. We've made it where this is dummy proof, you guys. Any type of a lead generation tactic you can think of, from expireds, FSBOs, sign calls, open houses, past clients, everything is in there. It's a plug and play system. And this system really is as powerful, if not more powerful in my opinion. I'm a little biased, but as powerful as the $1,000 a month programs out there, and it's only $199 per month. So again, check us out, www.perfectstormnow.com. Our third sponsor is EMF. Optimized Life Nutrition has created the most powerful nootropic on the planet called EMF. EMF stands for Energy, Memory, Focus. So if you're like me and you want to have insane energy, improved memory, and extreme intense focus, this is the best product money can buy. I take it every single day and the results are insane. I've massively improved energy, memory, focus, mood, awareness, and like you've heard me say in the past, we've had clients that even say it enhances sex. We've had talked to people that have reduced anxiety. The supplement is insane. Check us out. Learn more at www.optimizedlifenutrition.com. Lastly, if you're like myself and our whole entire crew here at GSD Studios and my real estate team, make sure you check out our apparel line, right? We got t-shirts, men's t-shirts, women's t-shirts. We got our hat line that if you're watching this might be available at this point. The hats are in production right now. We're going to be adding a lot of different apparel. So make sure to check that out. And then also, if you're not already, make sure to jump into the GSD Mode Facebook private group. For example, inside there, you guys, we post all of our interviews to make sure that you're not missing out on any interviews. We're going to be doing some votes for future apparel, some Facebook Live stuff. So it's a free private mastermind that you can jump in to go out there, learn, grow, and continue kicking ass and succeeding. All right, that's enough of the interruptions. Let's get back to the show.
Love it. So, what do you find to be the biggest difference? Because you're like you said. Last year, 2016, you got $100+ million sale, and then $1 million sale. Like, what when you're marketing these properties to find a buyer? Because there's totally different buyers. What are the different challenges between those? When you get into the luxury game like you are. Is there a difference, or what does that look like?
Yeah, well, we're really big game hunting. I had a debate with one of my co-listing agents on the mansion, and he wanted to do a video. And he goes, I want this to go viral. I want 1 million people to see this video. We never did a video, but we were considering doing it on the mansion. And I said to him, I go, there's 3,000 people in the world that could buy this house. I don't need this video to do anything other than potentially reach one of them. The fact that millions of people watch it who have no interest, who have no ability to buy it won't help us. So I really feel that the luxury thing is a very big game hunting. And it's not like, I do promote it. I mean, like with the mansion, we had a big publicity blitz in about 3 days. I talked to 50 different publications. I was on CNN. It was on TMZ. We got all the publicity we needed, but it was really then just hunkering down and focusing on the people that people who could buy it, and just educating them about it. In that particular case, people didn't necessarily know that Playboy Mansion was not just that, but it was like the best piece of property in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
They didn't know it was on 5 acres on a golf course. They might not have known that. They just might have thought of it, of its history. So it's very, very hand to hand. It's a lot of calling brokers. It's reaching out to brokers in some other markets. It's doing some very targeted things. But so it's not like I'm just, spray and praying as much. Often these deals are literally not even on the market. You make a few phone calls to the people who get these deals done, and you get it done. However, that conversely, I have found, there's been a couple of years where the biggest deals, the people bringing in the buyers were like out of left field. They were like not even in your area. They were new in the business, and they had a cousin that was, some gazillionaire, and they end up bringing the deal. So you'd never know what's going to happen. I am hitting it. I really like publicity. It's free. I'm good at it, and I know how to get that done. And that has a lot of exposure. And all kinds of people watch all these different things. So that is my favorite part, is publicity. That's something you don't necessarily have an option to be on CNN or NBC when you're selling a $200,000 house, but you do when you're selling a $20 million house.
Yeah. So when you're talking about, okay, I got CNN, I'm on TMZ, because I don't know if they're coming to you, or if you're having to be very strategic at getting on their networks. What would be some recommendations if listeners that are listening to this that maybe want to get some of that additional exposure? Like, how do you get the networks to listen to you? I mean, I guess the Playboy Mansion is probably a different story, because that's everybody knows of that. But I'm sure there's been a lot of other, because you've been in Fortune Mags. I mean, you've been all over the place with other properties too. Like, how do you approach them and get their attention?
Okay. Now, I have a certain advantage because I've been doing it a long time, and I had done stand-up. And with stand-up, you learn how to be very efficient. And it's like to get your point across. It's not like a novel where you just go on and on. It's like it's got to be very, very quick. And I have learned what writers want, what all these publicity, they want these nuggets. They want something that they could have a 2-second clip that's really catchy. They want something they can tweet. They want something that's just, they call it color. But they just want these little nuggets of information that sound really clever. They're really clever. They're very quotable, and that's what they're looking for. So when they call me, I tell them I know how to do this, and I give them what they want. When I'm done with any conversation, I say, listen, I go, if you ever have any real estate questions, feel free to call me or email me, text me, and I'll answer it for you. I'll be your person, or I'll find the person who can answer for it. I'll get the answer for you. So I have made a habit where I really say, come to me. Our doors are open. And I have a lot of advantages. Our company, we're the most successful boutique in maybe the world.
Yeah.
We sold 60 homes over $10 million last year. 100 of us did $3 billion. It's crazy. So we do get a lot of people coming to us. But me personally, they were coming to me because I have made it really easy, and I've made myself very, very available, that I'll help you get your stuff. They're just salespeople too, and they're looking for content. So I've made it really easy. I've actually written articles before. I go, give it to me. Let me fix it. And I've written it, and I said, and I give it back to them. So there was last year, Realtor.com, that was last year, it might have been the year before, Realtor.com came to me 4 different times because I was just providing all this unbelievable content. There was one that was, they did this article on what a new young celebrity in Hollywood, what kind of house he was looking for. And I said to him, I was just like bullshitting with her. I didn't think she was going to put this down. I said, well, a young celebrity is going to want to buy like a modern house in the Sunset Strip with a view so he can get laid every night.
Yeah.
I go, and then he meets somebody, they get married, and they buy a traditional in Brentwood so he can get laid once a week.
Yep.
And they put it in the realtor.com blog.
I love it.
So after that, they came to me like 4 different times that year, and I was doing all these articles, and they wanted all my kind of smart-assy remarks. But, that's actually, there's some truth behind that, too.
Yeah.
Not only is it funny.
You're like the one guy like that's just like, screw it all, just going to be authentic, right? And we're just missing that in this business.
So you know what? As I said, I really wanted to be a writer or a stand-up, and I've gotten very lucky where I've actually been able to integrate that in my business. And I'm like the go-to person when they need a real estate person and they need to be funny. Been on some TV shows, and it's really been great. And everyone's got an angle. Yeah. You might have a different angle that's going to really work, and you don't have to do what I do. But find an angle, find something that you can really leverage, try a bunch of things out. You don't know what you're going to back into, and be aware of it. And as soon as you start to see things work, repeat it and be strategic about it.
Yeah, do you think that that's why you're so drawn to luxury? Because you do get to be, because when you're selling multi-million-dollar properties like you do, you got to be much more creative than when I'm selling a $200,000 property. I mean, do you find yourself being drawn to that market because you do get to bring out those other passions?
What I like about it now, I don't know if I knew that going in. I probably could have made as much money selling homes in the valley that were, and having a team and doing that. But I like the fact that I, don't have to do that many deals.
Yeah.
And I can really focus on it. And the people I deal with, it is just such a gas dealing with my clientele. It's crazy. I don't even realize it sometimes. Every once in a while I'll go, what? I mean, I had one day where I remember I had one huge, I had so many celebrities back to back looking at this one home. It was weird. It just was and I remember last, in 2015, I was one of them was Rihanna and Jay-Z looked at a house the same day. And Rihanna was late, and I was pissed. God damn it, where is she? And I was actually angry that this person that I'm lucky to have come look at the house, and she was late, and it didn't matter to me who she was. She was just late, and it was really late. And so that sometimes I pinch myself because it's just so crazy if a Rolling Stone shows up or something like that. Yeah. And it's every once in a while I'll catch myself and go, it's kind of surreal.
Yeah. So you find yourself ever getting in those moments, kind of starstruck a little bit?
Once in a blue moon.
Yeah.
But usually I'm super focused. I mean, when I had the Playboy Mansion for sale, the fact that it was the Playboy Mansion,
yeah,
I noticed it a few times where I was really just focused on getting this deal done. So very rarely, because I've been doing it so long, I'm really focused on the deal. And everyone who's looking at these houses is somebody or have some level of success, and some guy that started some big internet company in my mind is just as interesting and cool and as some celebrity. So I treat rarely, but every once in a while, someone just seems larger than life.
Yeah.
But usually not the case.
Yep, love it. So, you've been doing this for 40 years, right? Started out at 17, so you've not just survived, but thrived many ups and downs, many recessions, many booms. There's a lot of talk of, we got record high real estate prices, record stock market prices, record low interest rates. It seems like the aftermath of that is always a downturn. With that being said, just so those maybe listening that maybe got in the business after the last crash, what's some recommendations that you give people to not just survive but thrive in these ups and downs? Because we got to be able to shift and adapt, and obviously you've been able to do it brilliantly.
Yes. Well, by the way, not only have I been wildly successful, I have been wildly unsuccessful. I've had some 40 years, I've had some really bad situations where I remember I went all in on developments. I had literally $1 billion of developments, and all the construction financing just like locked up like a penitentiary. There was no money left, and I got killed. So I've had several situations where I just got killed. And in 2010, I started coaching. That would never happen to me today because I never was strategic enough. I was just going for it. But I will tell you that this is cyclical. I can't tell you when prices are going to go up. I can't tell you when they're going to go down, but they're going to, and I just don't know in what order and when. So in our business, you can make a fortune when the shit hits the fan, a fortune. So what you need to do is you need to be able to read the tea leaves and see in advance what's going on. If the market shifted so much where just luxury buyers weren't buying with the same, luxury sellers weren't selling and luxury buyers weren't buying, it just changed. And that has happened, and it could happen in the future. I would shift. I would just be selling something else, or I'd be selling it in some different way. And I've done that in the past, and that's the key. I mean, you can make a fortune. When the market's bad, people still need to sell. And in that bad market, not only do people need to sell, but you need to figure out how you can accumulate a bunch of real estate. Yeah. Because when everyone's selling, that's when you should be buying.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, Einstein said intelligence isn't defined by IQ, it's defined by the man's ability to change and adapt. Right? And like you said, you just got to be able to shift with it. It's like when people ask, is it a good market or a bad market? I'm always like, the question is, whom is it good for? It's always good for somebody. And if you can just figure that out. And I had a mentor that always told me great realtors will make way more in down markets than great markets. And it never made sense until we went through the last real estate recession. They're like, okay, kind of start to get it.
Because, if the market changes, even if I stayed within the luxury market, there's going to be people that need to sell, and you could come up with some way to sell it, or you might be focusing on a certain type of buyer or seller, and there's opportunities. But if you're just, like if you were trying to sell land to people who weren't motivated, and you couldn't sell them. But if you were selling really good properties that were really good buys that people needed to sell them, there's definitely a market for that.
Yep. 100%. So you from, it's been kind of a common theme of language that you stated throughout the podcast of, really about your intentional planning, from, hey, before I follow up with these people, I have an intentional plan. You seem to be extremely intentional about everything that you do. Do you have like a daily routine that you follow where you plan, that you reflect, where you get intentional so then you can go out there and get the result that you do?
The way my business is, I'm super flexible. I jump on opportunities. So it's not, I know some people, they are like machines. They come here and from 9 to 11, they make their calls. And then from 11 to 1, they meet with their team. And from 1 to 4, they're on appointments. And I'm way more flexible than that. I can tell you I like to get in the office early. But I've created I actually created my own CRM. And the way I created the CRM, I can look at it and I don't have to think a lot. And I've looked at the way it's designed is that you can just look at your leads from a bunch of different angles and just pick up the phone. And what's really good about it, I remember my favorite time where I go, I'm really on to something, is I was sitting in the DMV waiting to get something done that I just had to do. And I was able to email about 10 different people and just send them a message while I was waiting for my number to come up. So I've got it planned in advance what I need to do, and then I fit in doing it when I can. Now my coach is telling me you should be way more purposeful about that, and you need to block out time. But I told her, listen, I really need to talk to 5 new people. I start the year at 0, so even if you're my client the day before, 5 new people a week, and so I just go for 10. So I know if I've had 10 meaningful conversations with new people in a week, that's plenty. So that's what I do. I look at my numbers, and if my numbers are there, I'm cool. And I don't. However, if by the end of January I'm finding myself not doing that, it's not working, I'm going to make that adjustment and I will block out time. But so far, it's a little bit on the loose side.
Yep. So you talked earlier about yoga, and yoga being a big part of your life, and I'm a big believer in you take care of your health, you take care of your mind. I mean, I don't do yoga, but I work out very, very routinely, and I meditate very routinely, and yoga is kind of a combination. And how important do you feel to your success is getting that mental break and taking care of your health? I mean, what part has that played in all of your success?
You know what? You can be successful. In real estate, it's really interesting. You can be good looking, you can be ugly, you can be smart, you can be stupid, you can be a really good person, you could be a horrible person. Any of those people can succeed in real estate. I happen to, take the high road and want to be a good person just because I do. But what you can't do with some of those bad habits and bad characteristics is you're not gonna survive. You're not gonna sustain. At some point, that is going to catch up with you. So, is yoga to make me more successful? I actually get a lot of ideas when I'm in there. It's kind of like a real big brain flush for me. But how it makes me successful is I need the break. I'll crack. I've had 12 orthopedic surgeries. If I don't do that, my back is going to give out. I mean, there's going to be problems. And so what's good about that stuff is that I work out with weights, I do yoga, stand-up paddleboarding, have family. It makes it sustainable. If you're just working, it's going to catch up with you. So that stuff I have blocked out. Fortunately, I've had all these surgeries, so my body just lets me know really quickly when something's wrong. So that's what it's important. You can be out of weight, over drinking, horrible person, and be successful for a period of time, but it'll catch up with you at some point.
Well, and speaking of that, because we see that happen quite a bit, right? The extremely successful entrepreneur that has a big bank account, but they've lost their health. They're divorced. They're on their third, fourth marriage. They don't know their kids. I don't know about you, but I don't define that as success. I mean, to me, I want to be successful in every aspect of my life that's important to me, not just financially, but in all those realms. And you seem to you've got kids. I mean, you've I know it's not always easy, and I also hate the word balance, but how have you been able to do it for these last 40 years where so many people let it slip away? How have you been able to not let those important things slip away as you were building this massive business?
Well, first of all, I don't think balance is that you're doing all these things in this perfect, organized way. When the Playboy Mansion came up, I went all in on that, and then 3 months after that, I caught up on things. So sometimes balance is like sometimes things need more attention than others. How do I do it? I think I do a pretty good job at it. My wife definitely is on me, and we actually talk about this and have a plan. I really say, I need you to tell me what to do. Yeah. Just tell me what to do. I'm not insincere. It's not that I don't want to do it. And we finally got to the point where she gets the value of that. And she just tells me when to show up. She tells me what to do. She pulls me in there, and that's what happens with that. If not, left to my own devices, I could definitely neglect. I have 2 little kids, and I shouldn't, but our business can be overwhelming. So that's how I do it with that. I tend not to work a ton on the weekends, but I tend to not to never not work. And at night, I'm on my computer and I'm figuring things out. So I've just made it a point. One thing, if you're going to do something that's time consuming like golf or yoga or whatever, and you've got a really high demanding type of clientele, if like in the middle of some really tough deals, I'll just say let's say I'm working on a very tough deal and there's really high maintenance and it's 20 million. I'll just say to the other broker, or I'll say to my client, I am off the grid for 3 hours. Got a birthday party, I'm going to yoga, going out with the wife, whatever. I'll just let them know I'm off the grid, and everyone gets that. By the way, almost everyone gets the kid thing. Yeah. You want to play the kid card or the wife. You could be in any meeting. You could be in the meeting with like the president of the United States, and you just go, the wife's on the phone. He'll go, take it. I understand. Yeah. So, or she, if it's to be the case. So, I find people are respectful of that. You're kind of foolish if you don't let people know that you're however, they do respect when you do go out of your way for them anytime. I mean, some of my clients, I always say, yeah, I'm with my family. I want to take this. This is important to me.
Yeah.
And, I'm going to only do 12 deals a year. I mean, these deals are super important to me. If you're doing 400, you can have some disciplines and you can not take the call. You can have it set up where other people are taking the call, or you could just care a little bit less. If someone is just so demanding that it's, they need you at 24/7. In my case, it's a little bit more high touch, high service.
Yep, absolutely. So, you're at a point in life where, let me kind of rephrase the question. We find that good becomes the worst enemy of greatness. It's so easy to get caught up in this good enough, and we see people get comfortable and they stop leveling up. And you're at a point where you could probably just take the foot off the accelerator, just kind of coast and be good for the rest of your life. What keeps you continuing leveling up, continue trying to set these records and going for greatness and not just accepting good enough, at the point where, you've made it to the level that you have?
Well, I'll let you in on, the rub. When you're selling houses in an area where the houses are this expensive, and I don't live in Holmby Hills next door to the $100 million home, but everything's expensive here. Between here and driving home a half an hour away, I am not going to drive by a piece of real estate where someone can live in that costs less than $1 million.
Yeah.
It's just anyone. So when you live in this area like Los Angeles, it's expensive to live. And I've got 2 kids and a wife, and it's like, get back to sustainable. I can't not work.
Yeah.
And I happen to really like it. I don't know, I really, really dig it. So one of the things is I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. And I'm doing some I'm making it really interesting. The way I do it is interesting. This is being on a show like this is great. I was on this show called Bajillion Dollar Properties where I did these promos, did 3 promos with them. I just did another one with them. I'm on NBC Open House all the time. I'm doing some of my own videos now, like this. And, I find it really interesting.
Yep. I think that's when life gets so fun, when you find out how to make good money at your passion. Because then you never work another day in your life, and people don't understand it. They'll criticize your work ethic, but it's like, man, I don't ever feel like working. Right? It's just get paid to do what I love to do.
This CRM I created, I'm really into, and I've been working on it for about 4 years, and it has changed my business, and that's something I'm really passionate about.
Now, do you have ambition to not just have it for your business, but to at some point offer it to all the real estate community?
I do. I've worked on it. I literally created a prototype myself, and I've been working on it. And this year, I'm going to finish it, and I am going to put it out there. What do you use? What CRM do you use?
Perfect Storm.
Haven't seen that, but all the CRMs I have found, they do too much. Every year, they're like more and more robust. And all mine does is focus on, you get a lead, you input it, and getting it to the sale.
Yeah.
Right? Not the sale and not up to the lead. It's that and how to do that. And I have literally figured out all the whole key is creating something so leads don't fall through the cracks.
Right.
And you call people or you communicate people at the right time. And the way most of them are set up are just lame.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I get a lot of people that hit me up about like Top Producer. If you really break down Top Producer, okay, overall it's a great system, but man, you gotta be extremely tech savvy, know systems to even know how to navigate. It's so damn confusing, and people just don't know what to do with it. They're just like, screw it, right? Because it's just way too much.
Right. And I do use it, and mine kind of connects to it, but I don't use it for tracking my leads. I literally use it as an address book, and the way I have mine set up, it's like the back end. But it does all these things I'll never do.
Yep.
And I think that where the money is in converting leads. It's not getting them, and it's just converting them and getting them into escrow. That's where all the magic happens.
Yeah, I see realtors that I know, right, that'll brag about, oh man, I generate 10,000 leads a year. but I see them doing $80,000 in commissions a year. I'm like, okay, like, again, I mean, who cares what you convert? I mean, there's 7.4 billion human beings on this planet, 7.4 billion leads, right? Like you said, it's all about if you can't set the appointment, it's irrelevant.
So I was working with this guy. There was a company in Orange County. They're out of business now, but they were called John Lang Homes, and they were masterful at building expensive homes and bringing in people who are interested in it. And I was actually doing some training with them. And the guy said to me, he goes, when we have grand openings and we have events and people are always boasting, we had 300 people at our open house, because I always ask him one question: how many of them did you talk to?
Yeah.
It's not a question of numbers. It's a question of, depth and quality. And numbers don't do you any good. Especially in my game, I'm literally big game hunting. If I was a perfect shot and I could identify the 15 people I could do a deal with, that's all I need to do. But it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, love it. So I got a couple more questions for you. But if any of our listeners right now, because they're almost all realtors, if they have an interest of getting on some type of a waiting list to learn more about the CRM, reach out to you so when it's ready, or just want to learn more about you, what's the best place, Gary, to get in touch with you, to learn more about you?
My Facebook page is Gary Gold Luxury Real Estate. My I've started the Facebook page. I haven't done much with it, but it's like literally brand new. It's called Voodoo Agent, and the concept behind Voodoo Agent is that the one common denominator that all successful agents have is they've got like some mojo. They've got some game. They're doing something repeatedly over and over and over. And one of the some people call it mojo. I call it voodoo. I mean, I'm sure everyone knows in their market some person that you wouldn't trust them with a coffee order at Starbucks. It's like, how the hell are they successful? We have some people here that are some of the most miserable human beings. I know the one guy, I'm not going to say his name, but he is such just a pill. It's hard to believe that he makes any money and he's wildly successful. He's got voodoo. Yep. He does something over and over and over, and he's good at it. And one thing that anyone recognizes, and they will deal with someone they hate if they recognize someone who's effective. So that's what it's about. So it's called Voodoo Agent. I do have a Facebook page on it yet, but my regular page is Gary Gold Luxury Real Estate. And it's Gary Gold Luxury Real Estate. And I'm all over the place. I'm not hard to find.
Yeah. Well, those watching, listen, we'll have links right below where you can click on those, and we'll make sure to have all the links.
I'll just send those to you. But I get messages on Facebook all the time and answer them, and I'm pretty accessible.
Yep, love it. So you mentioned several times about coaching and the importance of self-development, and I know you mentioned that you coach with Tom Ferry, who's a brilliant coach, obviously the number one coach, if you will, in the world right now when it comes to real estate. How important, not just coaching, but overall self-development? Reading, I see a bunch of books behind you. How important is self-development to you in your world, to your success, and even today at the level that you're at?
Oh, it's huge, 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 huge. I've been sober 30 years, and when I got sober, I just started learning a lot about myself, and that it went from kind of like new age kind of books, all of a sudden going into things like Tony Robbins, and I've been doing that for a long time. But I go to a lot of conferences a year. I'm constantly listening to things like yours, things outside of our business, a lot of things outside of our business. Really interested in marketing and technology, and it's huge. When I go to these, I go to at least 4 events a year and sometimes more, and I just go there and just get re-energized. And like 4 times a year, I really want to look at what can I do differently. That's where systems, marketing, and technology. I don't necessarily want to be thinking about that 24/7, because you can end up. I got like 3 new pieces of technology yesterday. I wasted half the day dealing with it. And now it's really important, but I prefer to do those in these 3, 4, 5 times a year, really sitting down and looking at that stuff, and then taking away what you can get from it and moving on. So for entertainment, I'm watching a lot of things and getting little tidbits, and then I'm going into full immersion 4 times a year.
Yep, I love it. So, I created this podcast about 18 months ago because I wanted to create a place where there's a lot of great information out there, but there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and a lot of BS, a lot of quote-unquote gurus that have never done it, and I'm like, man, I just want to create a place where I go out there and interview the doers, guys like yourself that are in the trenches, that are actually going out there. There's no theory here. It's actual true strategy. You're in the trenches building these amazing businesses. One, I do it selfishly because I get to pick brilliant minds like yours all day, and then number two, to give back to an industry that's changed our lives. So with that being said, our listeners are here because they want to go out there and create the life they know they want and deserve. And you're a guy that's created so much success, not just in real estate, but also overcoming alcoholism and with your family. And, overall, you can just tell you're a guy with massive energy and just, you can tell you're fulfilled, which a lot of people don't have. What's some last pieces of words of advice or inspiration that you'd give our listeners so they can go out there and create that amazing lives for themselves?
Well, in AA days, often people will talk to the newcomer, the person just walking the door. So to people who new or feel new in their career, I can tell you that you've got things to sell just like the experienced person. You could be me, Gary Gold, if I don't execute this year and I don't do the right things, I will fall on my face. Someone who's been in the business 5 minutes, if we go after the same piece of business and they do all the right things and they plan it and they strategize and they get all the resources at their disposal and they execute that beautifully, and I got my head up my ass on that deal or I'm not doing it, they will kick my ass. So all of us have opportunities. Being new is being new in this business right now, and it hasn't always been the case. It's a great opportunity. You can say and do things different. You're not making some of the mistakes that some dinosaurs are making. You could find a different market. Sometimes when you have all these leads and all these resources and all these things you think you're doing, sometimes you're overwhelmed. If you could focus on the deals that you're doing, you got nothing but time. So don't make any excuses. And and there's people in our industry that are 70 years old. They're top agents in the country. Well, the two people that just ran for president, like them or hate them, they're both 70.
Yep.
And it doesn't get a bigger gig than president of the United States. So there is no excuses. You're never too young. You're never too old. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be good looking. You don't have to be, all those things are good or bad. It just doesn't matter. All that really matters is if you really bring something to the table. I'd say the key to being successful in real estate is A, being of value, and B, having the ability to market that you're of value. You can be the greatest real estate agent in the world. If you can't put it out there like man to man or in some type of marketing capacity so no one knows about it, you're not going to make any money. Or you can market the hell out of yourself, but if you just don't perform, that's going to be, you're not going to make any money either. So I'd say the two big things is learn your craft, know the market, know about marketing, know about what you need to do, know about the contracts, understand this stuff, really become a student of it, and also come up with some way to market yourself. Whether it's and marketing doesn't necessarily mean that you're having a parade. Marketing yourself is how you say and what you say to individuals when you talk to them. It doesn't have to be this giant thing. There are people here in Beverly Hills that you don't know of, other than they're huge because the people they connect with, their sphere, they're God. Yep. They've really got the people they're dealing with, they've got their number, and they've got their marketing and performing and providing service to those people, and they're killing it.
Yeah, love it. Powerful words. And to our listeners, you guys, I know I end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is truly just the start of delusion. No longer is information power. It's taking that information and taking action on that creates power in your world. Gary just shared so many just amazing pieces of advice with you guys. Take something that you learned, go out there, immediately implement, immediately take action on so you create the life that you want and deserve. And again, right below will be all the links to Gary's sites, social media. Make sure to connect with him. Watch out for his CRM. Hopefully we can get him back here on the podcast once the CRM's launched and we can talk more about that. Again, you guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching and listening. And Gary, I know how busy you are, man. This has been a massive honor having you on the show. Truly appreciate your time. Yeah, this is awesome.
All right, great. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you guys. We'll see you next time.
Take care.
All right, peeps, that wraps up today's show. Again, thank you so much for watching the show. I truly appreciate just a few quick reminders and favors that I need from you. Number one, please share the show. Anyone you feel can benefit from this show. This truly helps us grow the show, continue going out there and having impacts on many, many lives. So it'd mean the world to me if you went out there and shared the show. Number two, if you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, please go out there on iTunes, Stitcher, leave us a 5-star positive review. All that stuff helps for awareness of the show. Also, make sure to join the GSD Mode private Facebook mastermind group. If you haven't already, you can go to gsdmode.com. Right on the front page, there's a link there. Click that. We'll get you added right away. A lot of cool stuff in there, a lot of masterminds. We're bringing a lot of Facebook Live, different stuff in there they have access to that you can't get anywhere else. And lastly, I want to give our sponsors a quick shout out that make this show possible. So our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my personal mentorship training program where I give you everything that I do inside my business, right? You get my entire playbook. We have 12 live, 3+ hour long training sessions. You get daily access to me inside the program. There's a bunch of bonus training sessions. You get access to every single thing that I do inside my business. All my tracking forms, all my presentations, checklists, lead generation tactics, lead follow-up tactics, team contracts, and so much more, you guys. There's nothing that compares to this program. You get full access to everything that I do inside my company. I hold nothing back. Go check us out, www.90daymastery.com, where you can learn more information, see future dates, see testimonials, all that fun shite. If you decide to join, make sure to plug in Live Mastery inside the promo code, all one word, all together, all caps. That'll save you 500 bones on the program. So you get it for only $997, which is a freaking steal, or 3 payments of $333. Our next sponsor is PerfectStormNow.com. So PerfectStormNow.com is an insanely effective lead generation website for realtors, and now offers a website and CRM combo with all my custom personal follow-up drips, all of my scripts that are inside there, right? So there's no guesswork. And when a lead comes in, based on the lead source, you're gonna know exactly what to say, when to say, how to say. All of it's just auto-filled, and we made it where it's dummy-proof. I mean, this system is as powerful, if not more powerful, in my opinion, than the $1,000 plus monthly websites, and it's only $199 a month. So go to PerfectStormNow.com. You can check out in-depth demos, see more testimonials, learn more information on it, all that cool jazz. Our last sponsor is EMF. So Optimized Life Nutrition has created the most powerful nootropic on the planet called EMF, Energy, Memory, Focus. So if you're like me and you want insane energy, improved memory, an extremely intense focus, this is the best product that money can buy, you guys. I personally take it every single day before I do webinars, before I do things like this, man. I'm always taking this product to go out there and enhance, again, my focus, my intensity, my memory, every aspect of it. So go out there and check right now on www.optimizedlifenutrition.com, where you can learn more about EMF. Lastly, you guys, if you want to be like me and the rest of the GSD crew, as well as my real estate team and so many others that listen to this, listen to the show and support the show, make sure you're rocking this GSD Mode gear, man. We want to go out there and spread the love, spread the word, spread the GSD Mode name. So on the site, gsdmode.com, we have men's shirts, women's shirts. We're starting to run a lot new apparel through the site, so you see a lot more coming as well. So make sure to go check out the site, pick that up, have some fun. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.